Welcome back. This is part 5 of a series going over the тест элементарного уровня. Номер 52. У меня две сестер, сестры, сестрам. This question, they want you to go over the irregular declension of sestra, sister, and сестры, sisters, and both of these are in that nominative case. Numbers ending in 2, 3, 4, except 12, 13, and 14, they trigger the singular genitive case, okay? And here we have dve, 2, and so we want to use the singular genitive case for sestra, okay? We're not declining сестры because, again, the number ends in 2, 3, 4, so singular genitive case. So how do we put sestra in the singular genitive case? It's just going to be an a to u ending change. Okay, so sestra goes to sestry. So the answer is B. A sister is actually the plural genitive case. So сестры in the genitive case would become sister. Sister. Сестрам, you have an a m ending. And so that is the dative plural for сестры. And just as an aside, if you actually are able to hear два или две and три, четыре at the end of the number, then you have singular genitive case. That's why even though 12, 13, 14, 12, 13, 14, even though they end in a 2 or a 3 and a 4, we don't actually say that number. We don't say 10, 2. Okay, we say 12. And because we don't hear that number, 2, 3, 4, then it is the plural genitive case. So that's a way to kind of memorize that. If you can actually hear those numbers, then you have the singular genitive case. Номер 53. В нашей семье 7 человек или человеком. So they want you to go over the irregular declension of человек. Numbers ending in 2, 3, 4, again, except 12, 13, 14. These numbers trigger the singular genitive case. Numbers ending in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, they trigger the genitive plural. Okay? And человек is the genitive plural when you're counting. Okay, I want to emphasize that it's a genitive plural when you're counting specifically. Okay, so we have семь. Семь, so it's going to be семь человек because that is the genitive plural. As an aside, genitive plural of человек, again, is человек when following numbers ending in 5 to 9 and 0. But the genitive plural of человек is actually людей when you are describing an abstract number of people. So, for example, if you say there's a lot of people, you can say здесь есть много людей. Много людей. So that's an important distinction here. If you're talking about numbers, человек is the genitive plural. Номер 54. Они живут в этом доме 11 месяцев, месяц или месяца. So they want you to know that numbers ending in 1 trigger the nominative singular case, except 11, which triggers the genitive plural. Okay, so if you were to say 21 months, you would say 21 месяц. But here we have 11, right? 11, and so we want месяц in the genitive plural, and the genitive plural of месяц is месяцев. And so it's a hard consonant, and so you need and so it's a singular masculine noun, and you want a singular masculine ending in the genitive case. And so that's going to be yev. And the reason why it's not ov is because an unstressed o in grammatical endings is written as ye after hushers and ts. That's why it's месяцев, yev. So the answer to номер 54 is A. B is месяц, that is nominative, that's just nominative case. And so if you were to say, again, 21 месяц. Месяца is singular genitive. And so that would be if you have 2, 3-4 месяца. Или 22, 23, 24. 55. В 2003 году Петербургу исполнилось 300 лет, года или годы. They want you to know the irregular declension of год, meaning year. As a reminder, numbers ending in 2, 3, 4, except 12, 13, 14, they trigger the singular genitive case. And then numbers ending in 5 through 9, as well as 0, and 12, 13, 14, they trigger the genitive plural, okay? So if you were to decline год, as an example down here, you would say 1 год, 2 года, 3 года, 4 года, okay, singular genitive, and then 5 лет. Лет is the genitive plural of год. Okay, so when we look at 55, we see that the number that we're looking for is 300, 300. And 300 is going to be the genitive plural. Okay, and the genitive plural of год is лет. Be года would be singular genitive, which isn't appropriate here because we have number ending in 0. Okay, and then we have годы, which is nominative plural for год, and we don't do nominative plural when we're counting, unfortunately. 56. В нашем городе много театров или театра. When you have много, you're going to have whatever word comes after it in the genitive case. Whatever noun comes after it is in the genitive case, okay? So if you were to say there's a lot of students, you say много студентов, there's a lot of food, много еды, okay? Студентов would be genitive plural of студенты, еда, еды, singular genitive. All right, so in our city, в нашем городе, много, okay, you want театр to be in the genitive plural. And so the answer is going to be be, театров. Okay, we want the genitive case, and театров is the only option here that's in the genitive case. Театры is nominative plural of театр. That just means theaters. Okay, and again, when you use много, you want the genitive case. 57. До Москвы мы ехали 8 часов. As a reminder, numbers ending in 7, or excuse me, 8, trigger the genitive plural. So we want часы, часы in the genitive case, okay? And the only option here that's in the genitive plural is часов. We have the o, v ending, okay? So the answer to 57 is часов, genitive plural of часы. Часы is just the nominative plural of час. That just means hours, or it also means watch or clock. Be, часа, that means that's a singular genitive case for час. And since we have 8, 8, right? We don't use a singular genitive case. With 8, we want the genitive plural. So that's why the answer is be, часов. 58. Сегодня в общежитии к общежитию будет дискотека. So they want you to differentiate between direction towards and location. Now, the one that we can see is wrong almost immediately is в к общежитию, because that would be motion towards the dorm, the общежитие. But we typically use к when we're talking about people, going towards people, or approaching it using some verb like подойти, which is pod plus et, with one of those prefix verbs of motion. And here we don't have подойти, and we don't have, and there's no reason to use к for motion towards the door. Similarly, в общежитие that is direction towards, kuda. And there's nothing to indicate the use of direction towards. You would have to have some kind of verb of motion, typically. When you're talking about был или будет something, then you're going to use location, где. And when you're talking about location, you're going to use the prepositional case. And so that's why the answer is going to be be, в общежитии. That expresses location, где, because you have the keyword here, будет. Okay, быть in the past tense and in the future tense indicates location, где. Therefore, the answer is be. Today, in the dorm, there will be a disco. Мы купили сувениры суббота в субботу или о субботе. So they want you to be able to recognize в какой день, on what day, meaning on what weekday, accusative case. And it's used to describe when something happens or happened on a specific weekday. All right, so we're looking for the, and we're also looking for the accusative case. Okay, so it can't be a, because subota is nominative case for Saturday. A subote, ve, would mean about Saturday, prepositional case. And so it can't be ve. And the answer is be, в субботу. Какой день, on what day, on what weekday? В субботу, on Saturday. A to u ending change because it is accusative case. Okay, so that's the answer to 59. 60. Ибрагим переводит романа или романов Достоевского. And I can see how you could get tripped up when you see Dostoevskого, and you might not be sure what case to use for the word that comes in between. But you should be able to recognize that переводить, to translate, it's переводить что, accusative case. And so we're looking for novel, роман, in the accusative case. And because роман ends with a hard consonant N, it's a singular masculine noun, and a singular masculine noun in the accusative case does not have an ending change. So it would still be переводит роман. Ибрагим переводит роман Достоевского. So that's the answer to A. Be романа is the singular genitive case, and there's nothing to indicate the use of the genitive. Similarly, with be романов would be genitive plural. We have the o, ve ending, and we don't use the genitive plural in this case. We're using the accusative because it's переводить что, the direct object. You are directly translating something. And then Dostoevskого is the genitive case. Dostoevsky becomes Dostoevskого. So the sentence would be, Ibrahim translates Dostoevsky's novel. 61. Мы вернулись домой только ночью или ночь. So they want you to use the instrumental case when you explain the part of day that something happens. Okay, and so here's some examples down here. When you're talking about the morning, when you're just saying morning, then morning is утро. Доброе утро, for example. Good morning. When you want to say in the morning, you use the instrumental case. So утро becomes утром. You add the o m ending to it. День means day. Добрый день, good day or good afternoon. And when you're talking about something that happens during the day, you use the instrumental case. Днем. День becomes днем. Вечер, evening, добрый вечер. Вечер in the instrumental case, meaning in the evening, becomes вечером. Вечер, evening, вечером, in the evening. Ночь, night. Ночью, at night, or in the night. Okay. So the answer to 61 when you want to explain something that happens during a certain part of the day, you're going to say ночью. Б. Мы вернулись домой только ночью. 62. Посмотрите, какая красивая ночью или ночь. So this is pretty simple. They just want you to match the noun to the adjectival form. And we can see какая красивая. Aya endings, right? With those aya endings, we need to be able to recognize that it is a nominative singular feminine. And so the answer to 62 is going to be V, ночь. B, ночью is instrumental, and a, ночи is genitive. Okay, for a feminine noun that ends with a mякий знак, you're going to change that mякий знак to an E for genitive.